What's up? Line 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Trying to set up the screen. And it's intercepted. That is Benton, who comes away with the football.
Welcome back to 5-Star Matchup. If you like what we do, pause this video now and head over to patreon.com/5SMU to support the show for just $4 a month. It's not a lot to ask and it helps keep the lights on. If you want a season 7, do it now. Well, what do we have here? For the second time in 3 weeks, it's the oldest rivalry in the AFC. It's the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Does it get any better than this? The Browns may have bested Pittsburgh before Thanksgiving, but you already know that get back is always a killer. Steelers Nation, let's ride. Coming off his most dynamic performance of the season, Russell's looking to keep up his winning ways, and he's starting this one off with a catty little offsides drawn, but Naj only gets a couple, followed by one to Pruitt that can't do it, and Russ is left to chuck a prayer somewhere near the Allegheny. And it's another clunky start for the Steelers' sputtering offense. Over to the Browns, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I would think if I saw the Eater of Worlds, Trent Jordan Watt, on the other side, I might think about blocking him. No? Just me? Alex and Teej get some pressure on second, forcing an errant throwaway, and on third, Alexander the Great does get home for his first sack in quite some time. I thought you could see the difference Highsmith makes all day today. Said it before and I'll say it again, Herbig is a talented player, but Highsmith is the most underrated player on this unit. He's crucial. Calvin collects the punt and runs forward for an easy return, and the Steelers find themselves starting this one deep in Cleveland territory with a prime chance to take the early lead. Must capitalize. Notable quicksand runner Najee Harris slashes and dashes his way through half of Ohio for a chunk first down on the ground, and I sure hope you got your black and gold overalls steamed and pressed because we're entering the business zone. Ever the Art Smith bugaboo though, the Steelers get it going with everyone's favorite toss back for the Naj man for a few, but a flag knocks him off track, and on 3rd and 6 it's all mouse, no cat, as Russ gets this one swatted back. Steelers settle for the easy 3, and for those I can already hear in the comments, no, Boz doesn't just automatically get the music for the easy ones. He's too good for that. Steelers on top early, 3-0. Over to the Brownies, and if I had a chub before, I certainly don't anymore. Ew, Steve, that's a gross one. F you, it's my show. Is this one taped from our last game with them? How'd that get in there? Steelers again seem baffled at the worst third down team in the league as their backup quarterback calmly steps up into the pocket and fires deep downfield to a streaking Judge Judy, who rules in favor of scoring a touchdown. The Brownies take the lead 7-3. Just a big old wolf for the Steelers back end here as there's only one receiver deep and he's somehow by himself, but you know what I always say, fuck the Browns, we got this. Over to General Carrington and his men, and he's picking and choosing and losing with a lob to Cordero the Barrel, who goes down in a heap. A couple plays later, Russ finds himself in a 3rd and schmedium, and he does what he seemingly always does and lobs it deep, but I guess maybe he forgot Georgie Porgy wasn't playing today because there is no one in the zip code. And it goes right back to famous Jameis and the Brownies' simmering offense. 2nd and 6, Jameis gets enough time to play patty cake, but he can find no man, and on 3rd, bake me a cake as fast as you can. It's Dante Don't Call Me Deontay Jackson with his weekly great play, and it's a personal foul. Couple plays later though, a pre-snap penalty knocks him off track, and on 3rd and 13, famous Jameis plays it short and safe with a dump to Njoku as the Brownies wave their ugly brown flags. Crack a cold one. Russ gets this one going with a laser out to Miller Lite for an easy catch and run first. I mean, he's a half yard short, and stop me if you've heard this one before. Naj goes nowhere on 2nd, and Russ fires deep into the fields of Pennsylvania on 3rd, and it's time for another coreless blast. Back to the Brownies, and I don't know what it is, but they just cannot run the ball like they used to. Peep the hustle by all involved, especially my man Big E, and we head already into the 2nd quarter. 3rd and 11 now, and Winston gets all the time in the world, but he can find no one, and it's yet another punt for this very, very ugly, bad, no good game. Back to Russ and the boys, and ooh, good. Warren gets stacked up behind the line on 2nd and 10. Do we always have to run it here? And on 3rd and forever, Russ runs, but reminds me he's much more of a knuckleballer at this point in his career, and he slides down short of the sticks. Over to Jameis and the giant Peaches. It's the long arm legend Keanu Benton leaping high into the sky to snag a Jerry Rice-like catch and run to completely change this game. Wow, I feel like I can't possibly oversell this. What a catch by a D lineman in traffic. Great play by the second-year man who is becoming an absolute pillar of this defense, and another in a long series of terrible plays for Jameis Winston, who's famous for them. Okay. Another third, and it's another chuck for General Carrington, who smartly spots the PI down the field somehow despite not being able to see over the lineman. Seriously, I'm not even trying to be funny here. I don't know how he does it. And the Steelers are once again donning their oxbone bolo ties as they venture into the business zone. Art Smith finally remembers he has a dope-ass tight end, and dope-ass shit happens. Fields he most certainly is not, but it matters not as it's a 1st and goal, and that's time for the effervescent Najman, who takes this one up the gut for the lead-stealing score. Peep Connor Hayward for the ones who constantly tell me he sucks, and the Steelers reestablish their rightful place atop the Cleveland Brownies, as has generally been the case for most of the last 50 years. God, I hate the Browns. Where was I? Jameis Winston gets another hour and a half to throw, but never met a zone he could read, and he fires a pair of quackers that land somewhere in Moon Township, and it's right back to Russell the Muscle and the Steelers' simmering offense. Noted nickname haver Jalen Warren shouldn't be going down as he powers his way to a car crash of a 6-yard gain, setting up a big-time 3rd and 2 for Russ, and don't adjust your set. That's not Justin Fields. No, it was our 36-year-old starting quarterback, Russell Carrington Wilson, faking and pulling for an easy as pie conversion on the ground. And Arthur Smith, where the f have you been my whole life? As I've told you previously, the electric meatball is solar powered and never runs out of juice, but what I'm betting you haven't heard is that it's also got a built-in gyroscopic controller that will never let it fall. Warrens wobble, but they won't fall down. It's another for Jalen, followed by a clunker for Naj, and on 3rd and 1, it's a sneak for the General, and the Steelers are officially chewing clock and taking names. 1st and 10, and Wilson spots Big Mike down the sideline, but he goes ahead and pushes off like he was Jameis Winston's Uber driver, and the OPI knocks him offline. Warren gives him a chance, but Mike is short of the sticks on 3rd, but you know what? Who really gives a damn about field position when you've got the coldest son of a bitch in pro sports? And f it. Roll his damn music. Steelers on top 13-7. Jameis tucks it and steals a first quicker than he stole those crab legs at Publix that time, and the Browns will obviously not go quietly into the night. 2nd and 6, and it's another eternity throw for famous Jameis, and he again is absolutely clueless as to what he's looking at, and he succumbs to a lunch meeting for the gods between Bam Bam Cam and the ever-punctual Preston. 3rd and 12, and it's another replay from the Snow Globe game as Jameis dances and fires complete for a frustrating first. 1st and 10, Ford spins his way for a few, but on 3rd and 7, Winston hucks deep, but unfortunately for him, it's on Deshaun Elliott, who swats it for the consequential PBU. It's beyond common knowledge at this point, but man has Deshaun Elliott been a great pickup for this team. He's been a huge improvement over Terrell Edmonds, and that's coming from a Cookie Edmonds stan. Because the Browns suck and everyone hates them, Dustin Hopkins absolutely shanks a 38-yarder that my 3-year-old nephew could make with his eyes closed, and the Browns are stuck at the measly Roethlisberger. Steelers try, but don't really, and we head in for orange slices and pretzel rods with the score of Steelers 13, Brownies 7. Listen, I know you've heard this 1,000 times at this point, but it's getting to be that time of year. If you want there to be a 7th season of the show, I need you to invest in us. Join on Patreon for just $4 and you get access to our absolutely hilarious Discord server that is literally active 24/7. You won't regret it. Do it now. Now roll the game. We're back, and it's, oh, what the actual fuck is this? Danny Smith's luck runs out as Jerome Ford is found anywhere but on the road dead, and the Browns are immediately in business. Joey Jr. draws his 400th penalty of the season, and man oh man, is this dude exactly like his dad or what? Not quite as good, though, yet. The Browns run and run. This is, after all, the AFC North, isn't it? And on 3rd and 4, Winston fires to Woods, who commits the most egregious OPIs since the Mike Williams one 5 minutes ago, and Winston runs and runs before lobbing a lonely duckling that lands harmlessly in the Steelers' icy gold end zone. Because the Browns suck and everyone hates them, their man shanks another for good measure, and just as the Danny Smith Haitian voodoo magic taketh, it giveth right back. Browns head back to the bench, empty-handed. Run again with Naj continues to barely chug, but it matters not as the clock keeps tick-tick-ticking. And on 3rd and 10, you can just drop back your 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback and he can step up in the pocket and fire an on-the-money laser to Pat the Fryer, who snares it for the butt-crunching first down. Back to the Tasmanian Devil, this is a Jalen Warren game, and as much as I love the running back split, Mike needs to learn when to ride the hot hand here. Today should have been Warren's game from here on. This guy just finds space on the football field, and you can tell Art Smith loves using him in creative ways. Jay continues to be a tremendous diamond in the rough. A couple plays later, it's a 2nd and 5, and Russ fakes, pulls, dashes, and dot him up. Drops a dot on the hypothetical receiver Van Jefferson, who is neither real nor fake. He is just an NPC that scores touchdowns. And the Steelers establish what should, against the paltry and pathetic Cleveland Browns, be an insurmountable 20-7 lead. Browns get themselves on the move with a couple easy completions against Terrell Austin's patented prevent flush look, but on 3rd and 4, it's a usually killer Njoku who grabs it, but is stopped just a schmear short of the sticks, setting up a gotta-have-it 4th and 1 for the Browns, which, like most of the last quarter century, goes extremely poorly for them. Just what are they thinking with this play call? You got a big quarterback, just fall forward. I'm not complaining, but in the words of John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith-Schuster, the Browns is the Browns, I guess. Naj slashes and dashes again for not very much, but on 3rd and medium again, it's the purveyor of the patented moonball, Russell C. Wilson, dropping an absolute dime on the freshly minted Steeler Mike Will, who indeed made it. What a throw and what a catch for the sideline specialist. Couple plays later, it ain't nothing but professional quarterback type here for the general, who takes his time looking every which way, cares not about the rapidly collapsing pocket, and telepathically locates Patrick down the seam for a patented Muth score. Muth is so good down the middle like this, and I for one couldn't be more hyped that the Steelers finally replaced Heath Miller. Steelers on top by a lot, 27-7, Jack. Muth blasted that punt too. All right, all you gotta do is make him do it slow, and oh good, great, totally cool. 3rd and 9, Winston fires to Njoku, who again falls just short of the sticks, shouts to the quarterman Deshaun Elliott in his hip pocket all night, setting up another 4th and 1, and even the Browns aren't stupid enough to mess this up twice. Chubb runs for another slow and steady first as we head into the 4th and final stanza. Okay, this isn't really the 5-star play of the day, but it's certainly the sequence of the day. Follow me. Down 20, the Browns find themselves in a 3rd and 1 at the Steelers' 17. They jump for a false start, pushing it to 6, followed by Jameis going down at the hands of Slammer and Cameron, followed by a tack-on personal foul by the hilariously collapsing Cleveland offense, which knocks them all the way back to a 4th and 24 and a punt. But wait, there's more. Great punt starts the Steelers deep, and if you've spent as much time watching Mike T as I have, you know damn well this is going to be a conservative drive that nets nothing, but worry not, as it's another increasingly common blast off the boot of Corliss Waitman that Tony Fair catches at the 36. And just for good measure, he draws another personal foul, and the Browns are now starting at the 16. Yikes. Just a pathetic sequence of football for the Cleveland Browns and emblematic of where they've ended up this season. Back to double-digit losses after a brief and completely boggled respite of semi-successful football. Cheers, fools. How's Baker doing in Tampa? Couple completions put the Brownies in another gotta-have-it 4th, which they of course get. Tomlin finally wins a challenge, seemingly because referees are literally legally blind. I mean, how do you not see this guy get touched? And the Browns are threatening to make this interesting if they can score soon. Sticky coverage by the Queen of Kings, and I think the last couple weeks sure have started to answer the "Where is Pat Queen" narrative, haven't they? Ford gets a few and Jameis concedes down low, setting up yet another 4th and gotta have it, and I swear I am going to jump off a goddamn cliff like Wile E. Coyote if the Steelers don't stop giving up easy conversions to the worst 3rd down conversion team in the league. And yes, I know 4th and 3rd down conversions aren't the same stat, but this show is about speed, not precision. And speaking of speed and precision, Jameis fondles the sideline like it was a rideshare driver. Please tip your gig workers, folks. And the Browns' never-ending death throes refuse to end. Just to give their miserable and horribly mistreated fan base an inkling of hope in this undoubtedly double-digit loss season, I wouldn't know what that feels like since it hasn't happened to my team since I was literally in middle school. The Browns score and help me in fantasy with a mostly inconsequential touchdown to pull within 13. Steelers, of course, are taking no chances in getting the clock chewing with a pair of runs for their pick-a-pair runners. But on 3rd and 8, you better call up Mike O'Malley because it's nothing but guts for General Carrington and his steadfast soldier, Scotty Miller, who dead-legs the sideline for a delightful and back-breaking 1st down. The Browns' path back is getting steeper. Well, all right, well, the Steelers should be all set here, barring disaster, right? Right? Art Smith gets a little too fancy in his FedEx bought gold britches as he hands a tricky little thing to Cordero, who coughs it up, and just when you thought it was over, the AFC North is like the Evil Dead. They just keep coming. Ford rumbles and stumbles for a first, and that sets up our
5-star
play of the game.
Jameis down the field and picked off. He is picked off by Pierre.
It's the Frenchman, James Pierre, with what I believe is actually his second 5-star play of the game. He dives and scoops the absolute quacker from famous Jameis to finally all but end the Browns' meager chances of comeback. As Mike T always says, we need volunteers, not hostages. Man, you gotta respect the career of a guy like James Pierre. Just a professional ball player. Have a day, James. Steelers, of course, have interest in just about anything besides taking a chance, and they go run, run, sack, but force the Brownies to eat their timeouts and chew the clock down to 3 minutes, setting up another coreless blast, which...
When he broke one for 65 yards in the Super Bowl down in Arizona against Philadelphia a couple years, they go for a touchdown.
Boink. Bounces off the hapless Tony's chest, and Ben Skoranek truthers rejoice. The special teams ace slides in for the recovery, and say it with me, your Pittsburgh Steelers are 10-3. You know, this team really is something, isn't it? The way our expectations have changed with performance is shocking to me. This felt like a clunky, play down to our opponents sort of game for much of it, but at the end of the day, the increasingly battle-tested Steelers made the winning play at just about every pivotal moment, while the spiraling Browns did the exact opposite. On a day when the Steelers were short on late notice of their literal best skill player, they still put up 27 points that easily could have been more if they needed it, and built a 20-point lead, ultimately winning by 13. Remember this time last year when it felt hard to even score 13 points on most weeks? Through 13 games, the Steelers quarterback tandem of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson have accounted for, trust me, I double-checked, 23 touchdowns and just 4 interceptions. If that was one player, would they be in the MVP conversation? At the end of the day, this was a game where the Steelers needed to simply just get the job done, and they did exactly that. They responded to a poor performance 2 weeks ago with back-to-back divisional wins to officially put themselves in the conversation for the top seed in the AFC. I think it's fair at this point to ask, are the Steelers seriously a contender? Let me get back to you on that next week. We're on to Philadelphia. Here we go. And if you're still here, I am once again reminding you that our Discord server is the most insane and unhinged you will see me on the internet. It's a lot of fun. Come hang for just $4 a month, and that helps keep the show in business. Do it now if you want a season 7.